What is up, everybody? I have a little bit of news today regarding the ongoing TFE Games Holdings and Steven Sharif drama, lawsuit, whatever you want to call it. This is in regards to the temporary restraining order motion that was filed just a couple of days ago by TFE Games Holdings. I think a lot of you might have missed this news. It came on the heels of the Steven Sharif lawsuit, which I think kind of overshadowed everything. So I did do a video on that. I'll put a link to that in the description so you can read a little bit more about the motion there. But again, this was a ex parte motion for a temporary restraining order. So TFE claims that it acquired Intrepid Studios assets through a January 16th Article 9 foreclosure sale. TFE alleges that Steven Sharif retained control of company records and has continued withholding usernames, passwords, and access credentials. And has also claims that he has directed agents and former employees to do the same. TFE argued that the records were at risk of deletion, destruction, or loss, and that delay would cause irreparable harm. They allege that without these records, TFE could not do things like wind down Intrepid, comply with WARN Act obligations, maintain accounts, or preserve data that might be needed. So what was requested was a court order that was requiring Steven Sharif to stop withholding company records, directed named agents and non-parties to stop withholding records, and also to turn over access, credentials, usernames, passwords, and not just documents. Company records was narrowly defined to include things like technology platforms, bank and credit card accounts, third-party vendor accounts, and books and records tied to Intrepid's assets. So again, the whole purpose of this is to share the results with you. And as we can see here, the court accepted the emergency argument. So the judge did give a result of granted. The court either issued the TRO or granted emergency relief, coupled with shortened time. The ruling confirms the court found immediate risk, potential irreparable harm, and sufficient legal basis to act without prior notice. Now, I should point out, we only have this right now. We don't have any sort of written information, no documents to go off of, but this is what's currently publicly available. So what this means legally is, a temporary court order is now in effect. Steven Sharif is legally required to preserve the specified company records, stop interfering with access, and comply once he's served with the order, which does have to now happen. This is not discovery. This is not a final ruling on ownership, but it is about control, preservation, and access, not ultimate liability. Failure to comply does have some risks with this, should Steven choose to not comply. And that is mainly going to be contempt of court, along with some sanctions and potentially stronger enforcement orders should they be needed. So what comes next at this point? Well, Steven Sharif will have an opportunity to respond, to challenge the scope or validity of this, and also seek dissolution or modification of the TRO. The court may convert the TRO into a preliminary injunction or set explicit compliance deadlines, and also can issue enforcement or possession orders as well. If the dispute continues, discovery follows, and ownership and authority will then be litigated on the merits of the arguments. So again, at this point, the court granted emergency relief, forcing preservation and turnover of key company access and records. But the real fight for ownership is still far, far ahead. So I just, again, wanted to give you a very quick update, not a bunch of news, but I think something significant in that now Steven is being compelled to turn over a lot of these records that have apparently or allegedly been withheld up to this point. So as always, I appreciate y'all watching. If you want to keep learning more about this absolutely crazy and nutty issue that's going on, just give me a follow or subscribe, and I'll try to do my best to keep you up to date. I will point out Steven Sharif has started to pop into some people's chats. He was seen in both Canon and Nefis's chats as they were talking about Ashes of Creation. He claims he might be doing an interview with a content creator. Don't know who that will be, most likely not me. I will do it if he asks, but I don't think he would want to put up with the questions that I would give him, as they would most assuredly not be any sort of softball type stuff. But, you know, as always, if he does do an interview, we will certainly kind of figure that out together and look how it ties into everything else that's going on here as we move forward. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later.